I want to introduce the Crawford Tap. So we've talked about the Shakur Tap. I've been introducing this into, since the Crawford Canelo fight. I figured I'd make a video on it just so everyone can have it, so we're all on the same page of what the Crawford Tap is. So the Crawford Tap, the 2 cent version is everything. Nothing's 2 cents with me. What it is the Shakur Tap are those little pitter patter patty cake taps to the lead glove. Those are done maybe just a few times just to get that sort of rhythm going, to keep their lead hand busy, and then for you to set up what you're setting up. It's not something that you would do for 2 minutes the entire round. What the Canelo Tap is, what the Crawford Tap is, and this I really liked, what I found to be one of the keys to his victory. What he was doing was he was working Canelo's gloves. So we've got 2 videos to watch. The first one, I like these guys, those boxing brothers. They have a couple of things of why they felt Crawford won. You could see some of them listed here. So what they call the 60% punches. These taps allowed him to set the tempo, and the reason his efficiency was actually 8% lower. So all the stuff is good here, by the way. It's this one that I find to be key. I have a different language for it. Again, what I found was it was those punches to the gloves. They're not love taps, but they're not jabs, but they're ways of keeping Canelo's lead hand busy. You'll see too, he does get some rear hand work in there as well with those Crawford taps. So let's watch a little bit of what those boxing brothers have to say about this particular thing, the 60% punches. All right, let's make sure we have volume. Okay, here we go.
Well, no, it wasn't that beautiful slip counter. He'd done these 3 things that took him to boxing immortality. He played what we called the 60% game. Now, the power punches might sound great, but this is so much more effective.
So that's what I'm talking about. So what we saw there, those little pitter-patter punches, that is a sort of branch off the Crawford Tap tree. So those little, how they go to the body, to the arms, I find in particular, it's the gloves, which we'll get to in the next part of the video, but let's watch a little more.
This is why the punch stats show that Crawford's success rate was actually 8% lower than Canelo's. But that's because Crawford was throwing punches with no intention to land ones that matter.
So that's the phrase I really like. He was throwing punches with no intentions to land to set up the ones that matter. It's again, he was throwing punches with no intention to land the one that matters. I love that phrasing. He was throwing punches with no intention to land the ones that matter. I love that. All right. Next, what we'll do is we're going to watch. So in searching for some highlights for Canelo Crawford, I can't find anything. All the highlight stuff is the stuff I'm not interested in. It's the toe-to-toe, nothing wrong with that. I'm just not interested in that. I don't think that's good for our development, and specifically in explaining this, it's useless. So what we'll do here is there are going to be a couple of things that we'll talk about. So let's just quickly start talking about it. So we're just going to watch a little bit of round 2. And I'll point out some things.
Did you like that clean left from Crawford?
So right there. So if you notice, he changed his height, then came in and changed his height again. I'm just going to rewind that because I really liked what happened there. So what happens there is Crawford comes in, we were doing this last night in sparring where you had 10 times you had to change your level. We've been doing this on bag work as well. 10 times you have to change your level. You can either change that level with a punch or change that level without a punch. Watch what Crawford does right out of the gate. The first thing he does, level change. Then he level changes again and hits the body. Level change. Level change hits to the body. He's moving, boom. So that jab right there, these jabs are designed for the gloves. They're not designed to hit Canelo. Look at that. Pop, pop. And I even think that was a front glove, back glove. Pop, pop. These are little jabs. He has a version that are harder, like that one. Then he gets into a position where he's countering. Canelo is in, so he's countering. He's not just going to work that Crawford tap for the sake of the whole fight. He'll work the Crawford tap till he's in a position to land what he wants. He'll also, when Canelo gets into a position, Canelo's a great fighter. Of course, he's going to wind up in a position to land and to throw and land punches. Crawford's counters are going to be counters. They're gonna score. But look, I like that little sweepy thing too. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, here we go. Boom. So you saw right there, a jab to the face, a jab to the gloves. So that's something else that we can do. We can jab to the gloves, then jab to the face, then jab to the gloves. We can mix up the order in which we do it. And right there, jab to the air. Look, this one here, there's no intention of that hitting. That is not going to hit. There's no intention of those hitting. You could see the speed changes as well. The intensity, the intention changes. And that was a nice little 1-2 towards the lead glove. Canelo gets into a position, so Crawford has to counter. And again, and notice too the footwork. He's, obviously you can't see the legs, but he's working his circle. Little height change there. Working a nice little Crawford tap. We got a little bit of, and you can see there, a tiny bit of stirring of the pot. He's moving left, he's moving right, and he's circling. He's moving left, he's moving right, and he's circling. And that was a nice little dot, 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 or around the ring to get off those ropes there. And again, if you watch that jab, I don't like that he brings it back a little low. But I like how he's using it. And you can see that's a jab. It's not just this little Shakur tap. It's just a light jab or a full jab. Like that. Pop, pop. Those two jabs designed for the glove. And what's Canelo not doing? Canelo's not able to get anything started. And then level change, shot to the belly. Boom. Level change, level change. Working that lead hand. He's little tap with even like a hook tap. Canelo's in the position, so he throws a real hook. Again, working that lead glove. Working that lead glove. Working the gloves. And nice. And you saw in that how Canelo backs out with a little bit of insurance. I'm going to rewind a little bit just because I liked what I saw there. Canelo backs up with a little bit of insurance. Right there. That's a jab meant for the face. And as soon as Canelo gets a little work in, and then Crawford's like, nah, you don't get to work. So Canelo throws a shot, Crawford counters. Crawford throws some real shots there, and you can see he's working that lead glove, He took away Canelo's jab. How do you take away a jab? Here's one way, a great way to take away someone's jab. Now we're in round 3. How'd that happen? Anyway, I'm not going to belabor the point. But you could see, so here we are in round 3. Boom. You could see, again, jabs to the gloves. That was a jab to both gloves. And then a real jab. And then the cross. And then da-da-da. We reset. Nope, you don't get to work. I'm going to back up a little bit. Da-da-da. So we've got the footwork. Canelo gets in. Once he's in, then Crawford's able to land some shots. Boom. So you could see, again, the throwing punches without the intention of landing. But you're still throwing for hitting those gloves. Anyway, I'm not going to go on too long here. So that's the introduction to the Crawford Tap. We're going to be doing more work with the Crawford Tap. It's a nice tool to have. So that's sort of going to be, depending on when you watch this video. Right now, I've made it September 19th. We're going to be using it for probably, the next week or two. But yeah, Crawford Tap. It is good. It's a new tool in our toolbox.